First Contact's deception. The Galactic Assembly ship emerged from hyperspace with all the subtlety of a supernova, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight across Earth's atmosphere in patterns that sent the world's astronomers into a frenzy. Dr. Elena Santos watched from the UN Space Command's observation deck as smaller vessels detached from the main ship, their movements precise and deliberate. "They're making quite the entrance," Admiral Chen remarked beside her, his weathered face illuminated by the otherworldly light show above, "almost like they're putting on a parade." Elena nodded, but her attention was fixed on the data streaming across her neural interface. Something about the ship's energy signatures triggered a response in the quantum detection array she'd helped design. The readings made no sense. They suggested the alien vessels were somehow less advanced than human theoretical models had predicted for faster-than-light travel. The first transmission came exactly 1 hour after their arrival. The Assembly's representative, a being that called itself High Observer Ixal, appeared on screens worldwide. Its form was deliberately intimidating, a towering figure of shifting metallic plates and pulsing energy conduits. "People of Earth," it began, its voice translated through an eye matrix. "We have watched your development for some time. Your species shows potential, but you require guidance, protection. The galaxy is vast and dangerous for primitive civilizations such as yours." Elena felt her hands clench into fists. 20 years of studying the anomalous energy signatures from Europa, the unexplained artifacts found in deep-sea trenches, all pointing to something humanity's historians had missed, or perhaps something they had chosen to forget. The meeting with the Assembly's delegation was set for the following day at UN headquarters. Elena spent the night in her lab beneath the Pacific Ocean, surrounded by holographic projections of data that shouldn't exist. The Mariana Array, as her team had dubbed it, had been discovered 5 years ago. A vast network of quantum-entangled sensors that predated human civilization by at least 50,000 years. Dr. Santos, her AI assistant, chimed. "The array is showing unprecedented activity levels. The Assembly ship's presence appears to be triggering something." She dove deeper into the data, her augmented consciousness interfacing directly with the ancient systems. The array wasn't just responding to the Assembly's presence, it was analyzing them, comparing their technology to something stored in its memory banks, and finding them wanting. The Assembly's delegation arrived at the UN with an air of benevolent superiority that set Elena's teeth on edge. High Observer Ixal towered over the human representatives, its metallic form carefully designed to emphasize the technological gap between their civilizations. "We offer you membership in the Assembly," Ixal announced, "as a protected species. Your development will be guided, your expansion controlled, until you reach an acceptable level of advancement." Elena watched from her position among the scientific advisors as the UN Security Council wrestled with the implications. The Assembly's offer was both a promise and a threat. Accept protection or face isolation from the galactic community. But the Mariana Array was telling a different story. As Ixal spoke, Elena's neural interface was decoding data streams that had lain dormant for millennia. The array wasn't just a sensor network. It was a key, waiting for precisely this moment to unlock something far greater. "We have prepared a draft treaty," Ixal continued, projecting a holographic document into the chamber center. "The terms are generous, considering your current level of development." Elena stood, her action drawing surprised looks from her colleagues. "High Observer," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Before we proceed, I believe there's something you should see." She interfaced with the chamber's holographic systems, projecting the array's data for all to see. "These readings come from a network that predates our current civilization by tens of thousands of years. A network that recognizes your technology, High Observer, not as something advanced, but as something derivative." Ixal's metallic form shifted, plates realigning in what Elena recognized as a gesture of surprise. "Impossible. Your species barely understands quantum mechanics." "The species you see before you, perhaps," Elena replied, as the array's data continued to stream. But we're not quite what we appear to be, and I don't think we're the ones who need protection. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, something ancient began to stir. The Mariana Array wasn't just a sensor network, it was a trigger. And humanity's first contact with the assembly had just started a countdown that had been waiting for millennia to begin. Elena felt a subtle vibration through the soles of her feet as hidden machinery, older than human civilization itself, hummed to life. The assembly had come to Earth expecting to find primitives in need of guidance. They were about to discover just how wrong they were about humanity's place in the galaxy. "High Observer," Elena said, watching as new data flooded her neural interface. "I believe it's time we had a conversation about Earth's true history, and why your assembly's technology bears such a striking resemblance to our ancestors' early prototypes." The chamber erupted in confused murmurs, but Elena's attention was on Ixal, whose metallic form had gone completely still. The assembly had come to Earth expecting to find children playing with fire. Instead, they had unwittingly awakened the galaxy's forgotten teachers. Legacy of the Stars. The Mariana facility's activation sent shockwaves through Earth's scientific community. Elena stood in the massive underground chamber, now humming with power that had lain dormant for 50 millennia. Holographic displays filled the space, showing star charts and technical specifications that made modern physics look like a child's crayon drawings. "The assembly ships are maintaining orbit," Admiral Chen reported through her neural link. "They've been joined by 3 more vessels. Diplomatic reinforcements, they claim." Elena smiled as she studied the ancient displays. "They're scared, Admiral. They just don't know why yet." Her fingers traced patterns in the air, interfacing with systems that responded to her DNA in ways that suggested humanity's current form was no accident. The facility's AI construct, which called itself Mnemosyne, materialized beside her. Its holographic form was deliberately human-like, wearing the appearance of a woman in flowing robes decorated with astronomical symbols. "The recognition protocol proceeds as designed," it announced. "The array has confirmed that assembly technology is based on principles we seeded throughout the galaxy during the Great Dispersion. 50,000 years ago," the AI explained, "humanity had reached a level of technological advancement that bordered on the divine. But they had discovered something that changed everything: the cyclic nature of civilizational collapse. Every species that reached too far, too fast, inevitably destroyed themselves. Our solution was elegant," Mnemosyne continued, displaying scenes from Earth's distant past. "We would start over, not in ignorance, but in carefully planned stages. The assembly's arrival was to be our signal to wake up." In orbit, the assembly ships detected massive energy signatures from Europa. Before they could react, the ice moon's surface cracked, revealing structures that had been hidden since before humans had learned to make fire. Or rather, before they had chosen to forget how to make fire. "Dr. Santos," High Observer Ixal's transmission cut through her contemplation. "Your planet is activating technologies that violate multiple assembly protocols. Explain yourself." Elena gestured, and Mnemosyne transmitted a response. "High Observer, did your scientists ever wonder why so many species in the assembly developed along similar technological paths? Why quantum theory came so easily to some races, while others struggled with basic atomic theory?" The silence that followed was telling. On her neural display, Elena watched as more facilities activated across the solar system. Mercury's polar craters revealed vast energy collectors. Mars' seemingly dead core powered up ancient terraforming systems. "We seeded the galaxy with knowledge," Elena continued. "Carefully placed hints and discoveries, guiding species toward sustainable development. The assembly itself was part of our plan, a gathering of civilizations that would learn to cooperate before they gained the power to destroy themselves." Ixal's metallic form shifted in agitation. "Impossible. Our records show no evidence." "Your records show exactly what we wanted them to show," Elena interrupted. "Look at your quantum drive technology, High Observer. Compare its basic architecture to the designs now displaying above me. Look familiar. The assembly ship's sensors must have been working overtime, analyzing the increasingly impossible energy readings from across the solar system. Humanity's ancestors hadn't just been advanced. They had mastered physics to a degree that made their technology indistinguishable from natural phenomena. Admiral Chen's voice crackled through her link again. "Elena, you need to see this. The moon, it's changing." She turned her attention to the lunar feeds. The moon's surface was rippling, nanotechnology dormant for millennia finally reactivating. Beneath its dusty regolith, the entire satellite was artificial, a vast observation and defense platform that had watched over Earth through its long sleep. "We didn't forget our past, High Observer," Elena explained, feeling the weight of 50,000 years of planning in her words. "We chose to temporarily set it aside, to grow again, naturally, until we were ready to remember. Your arrival was the final test, proof that our guided development of the galaxy's younger species had succeeded." The assembly ships were retreating to a higher orbit as more ancient systems came online. Humanity hadn't hidden their technology. They had transformed it into the very bones of their solar system, waiting for the right moment to wake up. Mimosine displayed the final phase of the recognition protocol. Across the galaxy, buried within the seemingly natural features of countless worlds, humanity's legacy was stirring. Every Earth-like planet the assembly had discovered had been terraformed by human technology eons ago. Every stable asteroid field was actually a dormant megastructure. "Your assembly isn't here to protect us," Elena said softly. "You're here because we protected you, guided you, and now it's time for us to wake up and see what our children have learned." The chamber filled with new data as signals came in from across the galaxy. Other human seeds were awakening, remembering who and what they truly were. The assembly had thought they were uplifting a primitive species. Instead, they had triggered the renaissance of their own creators. "Welcome to the true assembly," Elena transmitted to the increasingly panicked ships above. "We have so much to teach you." Breaking the chains. The assembly's response came not in words but in actions. Hundreds of ships emerged from hyperspace, their crystalline hulls forming a containment sphere around Earth's orbit. High Observer Ixel's next transmission held none of its previous condescension, only cold, calculated fear. "These facilities will be contained," Ixel announced. "This technology poses too great a risk to galactic stability. We cannot allow." The transmission cut off as Mnemosine interfaced with the assembly's communication network. Elena watched the eye's holographic form expand, filling the Mariana facility's chamber with streams of data. "Their reaction is within predicted parameters," it reported. "The recognition protocol enters Phase 3. Admiral Chen's tactical display showed the assembly ships charging weapons. "They're not here to talk anymore, Elena. If they open fire—" "They can't," Elena interrupted, studying the ancient readouts. "Look at their weapon signatures. Really look at them." The Admiral fell silent as the data filtered through his neural interface. Every assembly ship's energy pattern was a perfect match for designs stored in the Mariana Array's database. Designs that included carefully crafted limitations. "Did you really think," Elena broadcasted to the assembly fleet, "that we would seed the galaxy with technology that could be used against us? Every advancement we guided you toward, every discovery we led you to find, all of it was designed with this moment in mind." On her displays, she watched as the assembly ship's weapons powered down, their systems responding to override codes that had been buried in their basic operating principles. Humanity hadn't just guided their development. They had ensured it would never become a threat. The moon's transformation accelerated, its surface flowing like quicksilver as ancient nanomachines reformed its structure. What emerged was a vast installation that dwarfed anything the assembly had ever built, a complex of towers and arrays that gleamed with impossible energy. "Your civilizations were never meant to remain under our guidance forever," Elena continued, her words carried through systems that were rewriting the very nature of space-time around Earth. The assembly itself was part of the test, proof that you could learn to cooperate, to grow together rather than in competition. More assembly ships arrived, representatives of species that had never been seen on Earth. But Alina's attention was on new data streaming in from across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, buried within the cores of planets and the hearts of stars, humanity's legacy was awakening. "We watched you grow," she explained, as Mnemosyne displayed the true scope of their plan. "We guided you past the pitfalls that had claimed so many civilizations before. And now, finally, you're ready to understand your place in a much larger design." The Assembly's containment sphere fractured as their ships lost power, ancient failsafes activating across their entire fleet. On Earth's surface, hidden bunkers and forgotten facilities burst into life, revealing technology that rewrote everything humanity thought they knew about their own capabilities. Admiral Chen's voice held a note of awe. "Alina, the Mars facility is showing something impossible. These readings suggest that we didn't just guide their technological development," Alina finished. "We guided their evolution. Every spacefaring species in the assembly was engineered, their entire genetic structure designed to unlock specific potentials at specific times." Through her neural interface, Alina accessed memories that had lain dormant in human DNA for 50,000 years. She saw the true Earth before their ancestors had chosen to forget. A world of wonders where technology and nature had achieved perfect symbiosis. "You fear us now," she transmitted to the assembly ships. "You think we're going to conquer or destroy you, but you don't understand what we really are, what we've been preparing you for." The Mariana facility's displays shifted, showing something vast moving between the galaxies, a threat that humanity had discovered eons ago, one that could only be faced by a united galaxy of species engineered and prepared for this exact moment. "We didn't create the assembly to control you," Alina said softly. "We created it to save you. And now, finally, we can show you why." In orbit, the assembly ships hung powerless as the moon completed its transformation. Humanity's greatest creation wasn't the technology they had seeded throughout the galaxy. It was the galaxy itself, carefully crafted over 50,000 years into a weapon to face something that had destroyed countless civilizations before. The time for hiding was over. The true purpose of humanity's great sleep was about to be revealed, and the assembly was about to learn why their creators had gone to such extraordinary lengths to prepare them for this moment. Children of the Forge. The Mariana facility's holographic displays, filled with images that defied comprehension. Vast, dark shapes moving between galaxies, consuming light and matter alike. Helena watched the assembly representatives' reactions as Mnemosyne showed them humanity's ancient recordings. "We called them the Void Hunters," she explained, her voice carrying through systems that had waited millennia to deliver this message. "They don't invade galaxies. They don't conquer. They consume, transform. Everything they touch becomes part of their endless hunger." High Observer Ixal's metallic form had lost its imposing presence, now seeming small against the scale of the threat being revealed. How long have you known?" 50,000 years ago, we detected their approach," Alina answered, as Mnemosyne displayed the original data. "We had already reached what you would consider godlike levels of technology. But even then, we knew we couldn't face them alone." The lunar installation, now fully transformed, activated a network of quantum beacons across the galaxy, on every world touched by human technology, which, they were discovering, meant every world in the assembly. Ancient systems responded. Admiral Chen's tactical display lit up with impossible readings. The asteroid belts, they're moving, restructuring themselves. Elena nodded. They were never random collections of rock and ice. Every asteroid field in the galaxy is a dormant megastructure, weapons platforms, shield generators, hyperspace inhibitors. We built them all, disguised them as natural phenomena, and waited. The assembly ships hung powerless in space as their crews witnessed the true scope of humanity's design. The very structure of the galaxy, from the arrangement of star systems to the chemical composition of nebula, had been engineered over 50,000 years into an interlocking defense grid. Your species weren't chosen randomly. Elena continued, as Mnemosyne displayed the genetic templates humanity had used. Each race was engineered to develop specific traits, specific technologies. The assembly itself was designed to bring these developments together at precisely the right moment. Through her neural interface, Elena accessed more of the awakening memories encoded in human DNA. She saw the original Earth, saw her ancestors make the impossible decision to step back from their power, to sleep and wait, and guide from the shadows. The assembly's technology, your quantum drives, your energy weapons, they're all components of a larger system, she explained. Each species was guided to develop one piece of a vast machine, a weapon that could only work if dozens of different technologies evolved independently and then came together in exactly the right way. On her displays, she watched as the assembled pieces began to align. The assembly ship's quantum drives resonated with frequencies embedded in asteroid field megastructures. Energy weapons thought to be cutting-edge technology revealed themselves as power distribution nodes in a galaxy-spanning network. High Observer Ixel's voice held a new understanding. The protocols that prevented our weapons from targeting Earth, they weren't just fail-safes. They were calibration systems, Elena confirmed, making sure each component would function precisely as needed when the time came. Your weapons aren't being disabled, they're being integrated into something far greater. The moon's surface rippled again, revealing banks of quantum processors that had been computing throughout humanity's long sleep. Every star, every planet, every seemingly natural phenomenon in the galaxy had been positioned according to their calculations. We didn't create the assembly to rule you or guide you, Elena said softly. We created it to save you, to prepare you. Everything. The controlled technological development, the carefully guided evolution, the staged discoveries, it was all to ensure you would be ready when the Void Hunters arrived. New data streamed in as more human facilities activated across Earth. Deep beneath the oceans, buried under mountains, hidden in the hearts of glaciers, humanity's true legacy was awakening. Not just weapons or shields, but the control systems for a galaxy that had been transformed into the greatest defensive platform ever conceived. Your ships, your weapons, your very worlds, all of them are components in a machine 50,000 years in the making, Elena explained. A machine designed to face a threat that has consumed countless galaxies before ours. The assembly representatives watched in stunned silence as their sensors detected something massive approaching from intergalactic space. The Void Hunters had arrived, just as humanity's ancient calculations had predicted. But this time, they wouldn't find a galaxy of disorganized civilizations ripe for consumption. They would find a weapon 50,000 years in the making, a galaxy united and prepared, guided by its sleeping architects who had sacrificed everything to give their children a fighting chance. Inheritors of fire, the Void Hunters emerged from intergalactic space like living shadows, their vast forms distorting light and matter around them. Elena watched through the Mariana facility's quantum sensors as the first wave approached the galaxy's outer rim. Each hunter was larger than a solar system, their bodies a twisted amalgamation of every civilization they had consumed. All assembly vessels, she broadcast across the awakened network. Take your designated positions. Everything you have ever been has led to this moment. The assembly ships moved with newfound purpose, their crews finally understanding their true role. Each vessel's quantum drive pulsed in perfect harmony with the others, creating resonance patterns that had been calculated 50,000 years ago. The galactic barrier is activating, Admiral Chen reported, his tactical displays showing thousands of asteroid fields transforming into their true forms. Energy readings are beyond anything we can measure. Elena nodded, feeling ancient knowledge continuing to unlock in her mind. The hunters consume technology, adapt to whatever they face. That's why we couldn't fight them directly. We had to create something they couldn't adapt to. A weapon that would only exist for a single moment, assembled from a million pieces they could never see coming. The moon's quantum processors reached full power, coordinating the vast defense network. Every star in the galaxy pulsed in sequence, their energy channeled through pathways humanity had spent 50 millennia preparing. The seemingly random arrangement of solar systems revealed itself as an enormous energy collection grid. High Observer Ixel's voice carried newfound humility. All this time, we thought we were the height of civilization. But we were just components, weren't we? Parts being assembled for this moment. You were more than that, Alina corrected, as Mnemosyne displayed the full scope of humanity's plan. You were our children. Everything we did. The guided evolution, the seeded technology, even our own voluntary regression. It was all to give you a future. We couldn't beat the hunters alone, so we made sure we wouldn't have to be alone. The Void Hunters crossed the galaxy's threshold, their impossible forms rippling as they encountered the first layer of defenses. But instead of adapting and consuming as they had done countless times before, they found themselves trapped in a web 50,000 years in the making. Every piece of assembly technology, every advancement humanity had guided them to discover, locked into place. Quantum drives became reality anchors. Energy weapons transformed into dimensional stabilizers. The very structure of space-time around the galaxy began to shift according to plans laid down before recorded history. They're trying to adapt, Admiral Chen warned, watching the hunters' forms twist and change. Their outer layers air. Let them, Alina interrupted, her fingers dancing through holographic controls that responded to her DNA. Every adaptation, every change they make, it's all part of the pattern. The more they struggle, the more perfectly they fit into the trap. The assembly ship's crews watched in awe as the galaxy itself seemed to come alive. Stars pulsed in perfectly coordinated sequences. Nebulae swirled into new configurations that defied physics. Black holes that had been precisely positioned over 50,000 years began to resonate with one another. Now, Alina commanded, feeling the weight of countless generations in her words, we show them why we spent 50,000 years preparing for a single moment. The trap closed. Every piece of technology in the galaxy, every star and planet positioned over millennia, every quantum frequency and energy pattern, activated simultaneously. The Void Hunters found themselves caught in a weapon that existed for less than a microsecond. A galaxy-spanning engine of destruction that could never exist long enough for them to adapt to it. Space itself shuddered as 50,000 years of preparation reached its culmination. The Hunters' impossible forms began to break apart, their stolen mass and energy torn away by forces they had never encountered in all their eons of consumption. Your species were never meant to remain under our guidance forever, Alina transmitted to the assembly ships. You were meant to surpass us, to take what we built and carry it forward. Everything we created, everything we prepared. It's yours now, your inheritance. The Mariana facilities displays showed the Hunters' final dissolution, their ancient forms scattered across intergalactic space by a weapon that had taken 50,000 years to fire once. In orbit, the assembly ship's systems came back under their own control, but now integrated into something far greater. We slept, Alina said softly, so that you could wake up. We forgot our power so that you could discover your own. And now that the Hunters are gone, now that our long task is complete, we can finally do what parents are meant to do. Through the quantum network, she felt the response of thousands of species, each one engineered by humanity's ancestors, each one now coming into an understanding of their true potential. The assembly hadn't been created to control them. It had been created to unite them, to help them become something greater than even their creators had been. We can step aside, she finished, and watch our children inherit the stars. In the space where the Void Hunters had been, new light bloomed, the light of a galaxy awakening to its true nature, of civilizations discovering the power that had always been within them, waiting to be unlocked. Humanity's greatest creation hadn't been the weapon that destroyed the Hunters. It had been the family of species they had nurtured and prepared, now ready to take their place as the guardians of everything their parents had built. The long night was over. The childlike sleep of humanity had served its purpose, and in the light of a new dawn, the assembly would become what it was always meant to be, not an instrument of control, but a family of civilizations, shaped by loving hands that had spent 50,000 years preparing them for this moment of awakening.